Restful head and ear massage by ASMR Massage. I begin by introducing my hands and my fingers to his head by dragging my fingers from his forehead down to behind his ear. Then I go ahead and start some gentle shampooing motions, not getting too hard too quick. But bringing some of that blood to the forehead and to the scalp. Then I go ahead and pull small areas of his hair, firm but not too firm, just trying to wake it up. Then moving into the quick release motions, just doing light and quick releases, touching the head and then pulling away. Then really getting into it, pausing just a moment before I release my fingers from his head. And going ahead and using a cupping method where I tap with mainly just the outside of my hands, my fingers. And moving just to the pads of my fingers. Tapping all around his head. Then going back to a shampoo motion, this time a little more vigorous than the last. Then going into a piano playing where I'm just using the pads of my fingers to make a nice soft tapping feeling. Then using the tips of my fingers so it's a little more direct. I go ahead and start dragging my fingers through his hair. Once again, being fairly gentle. Then I let more of my hands make contact with his head. I start to smooth it out a little bit. Working from the front to the back. Then I do a little bit of zigzag motion, going in random directions. Then I go ahead and move into the karate chop pattern. not going in any general direction, but just tapping all over the head. Then using my tips of my fingers, going into shampoo motion once again. Then using the pads of my hands, moving the entire scalp. Using one hand to do half the head and then using the other. Then really getting behind the ears with my fingers, using a very firm pressure and pulling up, going into the ears with my thumb, using my thumb to stretch out the ear and then using my forefinger to press on the outside of the ear, going up and down, then twisting the ear slightly, giving it a different stretch. And then beginning to work on the inside of the ear, squeezing my forefinger and thumb together on the outside and inside of his ear. And then just using some friction to slide up and down the ear with my thumb. Then working his back of his ear with my thumb. Drawing lines with my forefinger and thumb from the inside to the outside of the ear. And then just squeezing the ear with my forefinger and my thumb. And slightly flicking the ear, then moving back to the head, where I begin again where I left off, doing some zigzag motion with my fingers from his forehead, down the back of his head, to the top of his neck. Then using my thumbs to start at the base of the skull and work its way up, just pushing on, going up, pushing down again, and going up all the way to the top of his head. And using two fingers and going down to his temples, and rubbing those temples, and working my way up to his hairline. Bringing the hairline to the forehead, down the head and the ears, and connecting all of those in one motion. Going back again and doing some more squeezing of the hair with my full hand. Returning again to that to that shampooing motion, keeping that blood up at the surface of the head. But this time, only doing it with an intense motion. I then, with both hands, lift up on the head, on both of the sides, squeezing, going up. And I do the same to the front and the back, pulling up and squeezing, letting my hands just float off. And then ending the massage just by dragging my fingers through his hair, gently putting everything back in place, and doing this over and over again until my hands just float off.